Your talent determines what you can do. Your motivation determines how much you are willing to do. And your attitude determines how well you do it. Do halts. Good afternoon. I am Senior Education Officer Katie Minnis, your moderator for this September installment of Educator in Residence. Let us begin with a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for the talent that you have blessed us with. We ask that you continue to strengthen and motivate us this new academic year, 2025-2026, as we build our skill set to educate those within our care. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity for us to collaborate as educators. We continue to seek your guidance and protection, Lord, knowing that all honor and glory and praise be given to you in all we do and say. Amen. Welcome and Happy New Year. For some, September is known as lockdown period, as everybody tried to rush to get those resolutions together and finish all of those things they said they wanted to accomplish for 2025. For us in the world of academia, September is our new year. And so with that in mind, we are going to begin this year in the right way by introducing you educators to innovative programs and very interesting people. Here at the Learning Resources section, the Educator in Residence program would like to start the new year with the presentation of the La Bastico series, written and developed by Senior Teacher, Ms. Ebony Johnson. The Lo Básico series is an exploration into Spanish language acquisition through the use of strategic implementation of sentence frames. Now, I had to go and look all that up. I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. So sentence frames are fill-in-the-blank templates that provide a basic grammatical structure for students to build sentences. Sentence frames have been hailed as beneficial for increasing confidence, enhancing vocabulary, and reinforcing grammar. And so today we're going to find out about all of that. But Ms. Johnson took it a step further, and she brought it into the culture of her classroom and into the culture of our Bahamian dynamic. And she's going to present to us the series, but how you do this. Interesting. And so before we get into that, though, we're going to invite ADE Lisa Wright from the Learning Resources section to bring some brief remarks before we get into our program for today.
Okay, I'm going to do something a little different. I shouldn't try this in front of Spanish teachers. Give me a 10 before I finish. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la sección de recursos de aprendizaje educador en residencia. Oh, I did. Not too bad, eh? Not too bad. All that was welcome to Educator in Residence with the Learning Resources section. That's all that was. But I so love languages, whether it's English, whether it's Spanish, whether it's French, Italian, language is just beautiful. And the Educator in Residence project, some of you may not be familiar with, is a project coordinated by the Learning Resources section as a national initiative designed to promote research collaboration. You know, in the Bahamas, they say we don't like to share. We like to keep things to ourselves, but we're trying to break that mold. And what we're doing is we're sharing, professional sharing and evidence-based practices across the education system. We're finding that persons like Ms. Johnson has things that have been working in their classroom, and she's willing to share it with others so that it can benefit our students. Everything is not just for us to get the A, and when I get the A, push that in my pocket, and I walk off. So our goal is to bring together educators. So we have you here in the room, and we have how many, Ms. Johnson, online? At least about 68 joined up online, and we're hoping to continue to grow that. And we want you to become the policy makers to exchange knowledge, showcase effective strategies, and strengthen innovation in teaching and learning. So selected educators from all levels whether you are in the classroom, whether you are outside of the classroom, whether you're an administrator. Someone called me today and said, but I don't have a master's degree, but I want to participate. I said, it's not about having a master's degree. It is about any strengthening initiative that you've used and that has been successful in the classroom. Eventually, what we want to do is we want to establish a centralized hub where Bahamians can go to. Any of us who have pursued a higher learning degree know how hard it was. What's the word? Dr. Charmaine and Mrs. Jack and all the rest of you. Katie, what was it? The paucity in the research. The paucity. We can't find it. Somebody did it, but they don't know where they put it. It's not online. So learning resources at one time, long ago, used to have all those hard-bound, long studies in a room over there. So now we are going back to putting all of that in a digital hub so people can see research that is pertinent to their own culture, etc. So we just want to welcome you today to this, and we know it's going to be exciting because wherever Ebony is, she brings the excitement. She brings the excitement. And we just want you to use this as a learning experience. We want it to be live and provocative. Let me not use all those words. But we want to strengthen the link between classroom practice and system-wide improvement by creating these accessible platforms, fostering mentorship, and celebrating educators. We got to celebrate ourselves. They may not do it for us. So we have to do it for ourselves. So I just want you to feel welcome, and I want you to interact and make sure that this is a time that we won't forget and that those online will participate in as well. Thank you all so much.
Eight online and 12 inside here. Now, those of us who are familiar with the Bible know that Jesus didn't need a big entourage. He did not need many workers. He took 12. And look at the job that those 12 did. So we have 68 and 12 is how much? My math isn't that good. Okay, great. That is going to be enough for us to spread the news throughout our country about these programs as we present you with these Educate and Resident series. So today, this new year, we are bringing to you Miss Ebony Johnson, affectionately known as Miss J. And if you get a nickname from your students, you must be good. Miss Johnson has education exuding from her. She is a senior teacher posted at the L.W. Young High School. Yes. But she is someone who loves education, who's really invested in what she is doing. She received her bachelor's in education from the College of the Bahamas and later studied Spanish language and culture at the University of Salamanca. They said, tell me if I'm saying, correct me, teacher. Yes. She also received her diplomas in teaching Spanish as a second language from the University of Chile and teaching English as a foreign language from the Boston Language Institute. Following this, she earned her Master of Arts in Spanish language teaching at Summer Language Institute for Spanish Teachers. Colleagues, I am not going to delay this because this is going to be a super afternoon and we're going to be fully engaged. Let educators in residence present to you Miss J.
Testing. Oh, this one. Hola y buenas tardes a todos. Protocol having already been established, I'm going to jump right into the presentation. As you know, I am Miss J, and it's a pleasure being with you this afternoon. Oh, I got the one moment, please. Am I moving too fast? We've got 150 slides to go through today. Y'all excited? And so today, it is my pleasure to introduce you to boy. Highest do this. At the beginning of my teaching career, it was very difficult for me to transition into moving from LW Young as a student into the College of the Bahamas and then moving right on in to the classroom. It was a challenge. However, one of the things that I discovered as I I progressed into the discipline was there were many things and many opportunities that led me to say, bye, I can do this. And so after years of going through, the motions, I would have to say, I realized that my students were at a disadvantage. I needed to level up. I needed to upgrade. And so today I present to you my research entitled By Highest Duties, Improving Presentational Writing Through Increased Vocabulary Using Sentence Frames in the Spanish L2 Classroom. This research was conducted between the years of 2020 and 2022. And for the next few moments, I'm going to take you through my statement of purpose, my research questions, and all of the content that you see right here in the next few moments. Yes, you need something. I'm moving to, oh, sorry. I do talk pretty quickly. You think it's the Spanish in me? So my statement of purpose. The purpose of this study is to examine how increased vocabulary can improve students' writing performance using sentence frames in the Spanish L2 classroom, and to help them better understand the students' perspective of presentational writing in Spanish. We're going to be looking at my two research questions for the next few moments. One is, what impact does increased vocabulary using sentence frames have on presentational writing skills of L2 learners in the Spanish language classroom? And what is the student's perspective on using sentence frames for presentational writing in Spanish? It is not only important to know the data, but you also want to know how your students feel about what it is that you have them doing. And that is why I chose those two questions, which took us into the importance of the study. This study is important because it does three main things. One, it builds student efficacy and fosters holistic growth in the second language classroom. It increases student written input in Spanish, because that's the discipline we're focusing on, and it aids in the development of activities that would improve student output on written tasks. This is what the purpose of this study will do. From 2020 to 2022, I took a candid observation of myself as an educator, and I realized that I fell down in various capacities that I should not have if I wanted to be a teacher of excellence. If I wanted to hold on to the coattails of those before me and say that I was an educator of excellence, I needed to level up. And I don't know if you realize, but it's 2025 now, and I did that. And so for the next few moments, we're going to look at this research that took me, and we're going to look at the presentation of 2022 to the BJC results of 2025, that's this year, and see the improvement. So it's not uncommon to go into the Spanish language classroom where you begin to introduce something to the students, and you would hear in the Bahamian context, boy, highest students. The children say it. Sometimes you think it, but don't say it. I can say it. But sometimes you think it, but don't say it. But in truth, the question is, how do we do these things? We as educators are always expected to have the answers. And honestly and truly, we do not always have the answers. And that is why we have to do the research. The research says that according to recent studies in education, one of the major contexts that persons focus on is communication. Ooh, I gotta speak the language. We gotta focus on the 4 skills: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. But in all of those aspects, from 2009, when I started in education, even down to my classes at the College of the Bahamas. Notice I did not say, I hope my age don't come out, but the College of the Bahamas is where I went. Most of our classes focused on the first 3 skills. You needed to be able to listen well. You needed to be able to read well. You needed to be able to speak the language. Now, I don't know what's happening now, but we got to work on the speaking part for many educators. However, them 3, when I was at COB, they were the main focus. But the writing aspect really suffered when it came to presenting papers and submitting documents in Spanish. Ooh, me duele la cabeza. Okay? And so for many of us, and what I found in this research was that writing wasn't just a Bahamian issue in the language. It is an international issue that that we face in the language as educators. So in 2020, I embarked on a master's program with the Southern Oregon University. They had a summer master's program, 3 summers. And during that same time, I decided that I wanted to increase my ability to work in the language, and I wanted to focus on writing. Not just writing as in-class writing, but also writing to assist my as they prepared for national exams. Those were the 2 things that I wanted to focus on. And in 2020, I conducted my research in Guanajuato. I presented my research in Guanajuato, Mexico, on the topic, Bahayas do this. So the context. In 2022, I focused on a research study at a public school on Burnett Road, New Providence, consisting of about 500 plus students of a demographic of Bahamian, Haitian, Bahamian, Jamaican, and what did I miss it? And Haitian. Oh, because I put the Haitian. Okay, yeah. Our department consisted of 4 members. 1 French, 3 Spanish, 1 from Costa Rica, 1 from Peru, and 1 from the Bahamas, and that's me. All right, and so we had no set text at the time for foreign language instruction. We also currently do not have a set text. So I am advocating for the Lobasico series by Ebony Bahamas to be the set text for foreign language instruction in the Bahamas. And yes, that was a very shameless plug. So the participants of my study included, click, 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 34 students, 16 males and 18 females. There were 9th graders. And in that particular class, they were Haitian, Bahamian, and Bahamian. According to the American Council for Foreign Languages, they were, for the teaching of foreign languages, ACFL, they were novice low to novice high learners. And we were supposed to meet twice weekly for 55 minutes. There were many limitations to this study. Click as I go. In fall 2021, I got hold on, you clicking too fast. I got a new HOD. I also got a new supervisor at the time, and both of them had no knowledge that 1, I was doing a master's program, and 2, I was conducting the research with the children that they was coming to see me teach. In addition to that, we were hybrid. So we had hybrid phases 1 and hybrid phases. Do y'all remember hybrid phases 1 and 2? Do y'all remember what that was like? Okay, so this is me preparing to conduct research during this time. In addition to that, we had elections that year, y'all. And so because we had elections, that was another break in the planning that I had already put together. And finally, and I should have probably said this first, y'all, we was in COVID. And if you remember what COVID was like, it was a very stressful time for many, but I was doing a master's degree through COVID. So for some of us, it was, say it again. Okay, it was double stress, but also it was a call to level up. So if we look at the timeline here, this would represent my limitations. COVID, school remains virtual, the elections, that's new government. My research was supposed to be from September. Keep clicking. My HOD and my supervisor were unfamiliar. Hybrid scheduling. This particular one was 6 days and 40 minutes, and I saw the children once per week, every 2 weeks. So, you know, it was like them 6 day. Follow with me. I listen to people in the room, y'all with me on this. Once per week, every 2 weeks. Then we had 5 days. And I got some new students at that time because, you know, sometimes some students, they don't start school when the others start. They start a little later because their summer vacation is just a little bit longer than the rest of ours. Okay, and so that left me with a window to complete my research that only left me with March. And I was right there saying, boy, how I gonna do this? Okay, and so those were my limitations. My study design should have looked like this. Initially, I was supposed to begin in September, and I would have had an intervention period that would have ended in February. However, due to the constraints attached to my limitations, I didn't begin my research until the 8th of March, because when COVID lifted enough for us to start being face-to-face at school, it was midterm break, and I'm gonna go enjoy my midterm. So after midterm, I was like, okay, back to this. So the 8th of March to the 31st of March gave me 4 weeks to conduct my research. So I considered that whole period of September up to now as my control period. In addition to that, I had an opportunity to get informed consent from the parents. This is all during my control period, because you have to get the parents' consent. That's one of the first things. I kept a field journal with observations, and on the first session, I did a pre-test, okay? The pre-test was, let's see what the children know on this topic, okay? And then we moved into the intervention, which focused on more things that you would see as we continue the research. So my literature review will talk about the theoretical frameworks that impacted my study. When I tell you, when I first started my research, I could hardly find anything on sentence frames, and not even anything on sentence frames in Spanish. There was very little on sentence frames in English. And so because of that, it challenged me to dig a little deeper. And so my literature review will look at these 2 questions, my research questions. What impact does increased vocabulary using sentence frames have on presentational writing in the second language classroom? And the other one, which would be, what was the student's perspective on using sentence frames for presentational writing in Spanish? My literature review is going to focus on 5 key themes. You can just click once. Vocabulary output, sentence frames, presentational writing, students' perceptions, and the assessment. Because it is important, because this is an academic presentation, that I give you the research. So as I went through the research, vocabulary as a form of output was the first aspect that I'm going to look at. And it's going to address, or it's going to be attached to my first research question that's going to look at these 5, 1, 2, 3, and 5 points from the slide that you just saw. So one of the first things we're looking at is vocabulary. Click. Vocabulary is one of the key factors that we looked at inside the research. And that is because vocabulary forms the foundation of the language learning. The more vocabulary a learner knows, the better they are able to understand and produce language in return. And this is one of the major focuses of the vocabulary. It says that vocabulary learning activities help learners recall and recognize a high number of words, which can later be applied to higher order activities, such as the case of sentence writing, which is where we were trying to get. According to the research, I use as one of the techniques to get the learners to learn more vocabulary, a concept known as lexical chunks. And lexical chunks has varied names: collocations, lexical chunks, multi-word units, lexical bundles, clusters. These were all attached. And this is what I had to look for as I conducted my research. And what they are is, well, let's go to the next slide. In Spanish, the concept of the lexical chunks would be, come right in. The concept of the lexical chunks would be where we have a combination of words that we teach at the same time. In the case of this unit, it was the ir a infinitive. Students were to learn, you needed to make sure that you use ir a and the infinitive next. Or you would use ir a and a place or a country, okay? And that's how we tied in the lexical chunks as we built the students' vocabulary. So ir a, place and country. So because remember, during my intervention period, the students were hybrid, I made appropriate use of computer-assisted learning tools in the form of Quizlet, quizzes, which is no longer quizzes, but it's now Wayground. And then I also, and you could check if you can access my LMS. Listen, mine was lit, okay? I also made use of the Bahamas one-on-one learning management system where students had access to not only the vocabulary of each lesson, but they also had access to computer-assisted learning tools that they could click through the LMS and access and work on things to help build their vocabulary independently as they move through the sessions. So how can students use the vocabulary? This is very important because as we continue the literature review, they were exposed to sentence frames. The sentence frames that I used, according to Block, in the research suggested that it would be a tool to assist in maximizing comprehensible output. Comprehensible output only sounds like big terms. It really means they understand and can give you the answer. They understand and can give you the answer. Comprehensible output. So what it is, and I'm going to give you the Highlands definition, is a series of appropriate grammatical structures where instruction may employ a slot and filler framework in which sentences with different meanings can be generated by varying in the slots. Sentence frames, according to Block, are not closed passages and gap fill activities as you would normally see in an English classroom, okay? They are different. Don't worry, we got some on the table for you today. In addition to that, sentence frames, don't distract my tech person. As we move into the lit review, we have presentational writing because I want to make sure that we go through all of the terms that are necessary for your understanding as we go into the research. So presentational writing is what we mentioned before in the introduction. It is the student's ability to produce language independently. And what the 1996 National Standards for Foreign Language Learning Frameworks found is that presentational or communicative modes focus on interpersonal and presentational. Interpersonal is sharing of feelings, information, and opinions, and the presentational of presenting concepts, ideas, and information. As they went through, or as I went through my research, I realized that according to Allen, presentational writing had a low perceived value, according to a 2012 study that devalued presentational writing, ranking it last on the list of 11 ACTFL content standards, meaning they don't really care about presentational writing. Like I told you in the introduction, they want you to be able to speak, listen, read, but then you weren't able to write. And my research focuses on helping y'all, because y'all are right for me today, helping you all to write and my students. So according to a 2001 report from the World Health Organization, writing difficulties are considered one of the problems that constitute an impediment to school participation, which is a significant element in the normal development process of a child. We struggle with writing in English. So could you imagine? I now want my turn to write in Spanish. And I saying you can write in Spanish. And so there are many challenges that even the English teachers will tell you that the students face when it comes to writing. Not only do you need to know how to produce letters, but you need to know orthographic code. You need to know how to appropriate use the orthographic representations of words, the lexicon. And then you need to be able to hold your pen, because that's another skill right there, to be able to put that on the paper. And fine motor skills, especially over the past few years, has been going down. And so this is one of the challenges that I face. However, according to Torres, writing may be perceived as more complex in comparison to other language skills because writers need to expend more effort completing tasks. And that gave me the answer as to why there was very little research on sentence frames, because you have to think about so many things in order to get the students to produce language. We have to build the vocabulary. We have to get them to practice the vocabulary. After they practice the vocabulary, we have to introduce them to the structures. After we introduce them to the structures, we have to make sure they understand what the question is asking them. After we do that, we then have to take them to now put what they understand on paper. And that is where the presentational writing comes in. Teachers, as educators, it is very important that you understand that you are the avenue to assist students with writing. It is what you do in your classroom that will encourage students to be interested in writing, to want to produce language. And according to Allen, instructors should approach writing or teaching how to writing as an opportunity to build students' academic, social, professional, and critical and digital literacies. It is a requirement for work success. And as educators, our job is not just to prepare our students for the BJC and the BGCSE. Our jobs are to prepare these kids for what happens after, okay? And that is why we focus on presentational writing. That is why the presentational writing aspect of our national BJC exam to ask the children to do so much more. And we have to scaffold. Scaffolding and the use of sentence frames and writing is controlled through guided compositions, which give learners short text, which focus on students avoiding errors and achieving accuracy in writing. That is the goal of the presentation writing. But we have to be effective. I'm trying to move really quickly through the literature aspect. And so teacher effectiveness is one of the most important factors when it comes to explaining learning progress, because not only in reading and mathematics, but also areas such as writing. Next slide. And that is because it is important for us to draw out from the students the best of their writing capabilities. We want them to be creative. We want them to highlight and share with us their creative skills. And it is important through, or it was important through this research that I got the students' opinions on writing. And I can assure you at the beginning, they didn't want to write anything. They were not interested. They were very much overwriting. We want to use the tablet. We want key in. But I don't know about your school, but my school, the children were allowed to bring tablets for a while and then no mas, okay? And I think one of the major issues was the fact that they could not be trusted with the devices. And that right there in itself speaks volumes. But for this research, students' perceptions were very important as we went into my second question. And like I said, I'm going to blow through the research. So my second question focused on students' perspective. What is the students' perspective on using sentence frames for presentational writing? How did the students feel about having to write in the target language? Next slide. And so although teacher evaluation is important, if students are to be the end users of a piece of courseware, then getting their impressions can be beneficial as well, which is what Hubbard asserts. It was important in his research to highlight that not only should teachers give the students something to write about, but we must give the students something that they're interested in writing about. Because who really, like you sitting in here very quiet, but who really wants to sit somewhere? You would not have driven your gas to if you were not interested. And some of the people online wish they was in the room with us. I know that. And so it was important to build self-efficacy. And what it is when the individual or what an individual feels about or believes he or she can or cannot do. It is how well they feel within themselves that they can produce language in the classroom. And that's what I looked at in my study. And their feeling towards it also adversely or positively affected their writing skills. So according to Torres, again, participants who had limited writing skills struggled with misspellings and weren't given sufficient opportunities to improve their writing proficiency, which caused them to struggle with writing in Spanish. They found themselves stuck when it came to moving from point A to point B in the writing process. Because they were already challenged with writing in English, they struggled significantly when it came to taking the task from the vocabulary into the structural aspect of the language. And that's one of the things that my research focused on. By way of assessment, I looked at qualitative and quantitative data. I used a pre and a post test for my quantitative data, and I used qualitative data as in the form of a post survey and a post survey for my research, as I looked at two aspects of the post survey that you will see. In addition to that, I used traditional methods, the formative, the summative, the diagnostic assessments to gain the information that I needed for my research. We made it past the lit review, y'all. All right, and so for this class, I used the unit City Life and Travel. In this unit, the students were exposed to 4 weeks of Spanish language instruction using the Lo Básico series to highlight these these concepts. Getting started, we did an overview of the research, the consent forms, and the pretest. Lesson 1 focused on ¿Qué hay en la comunidad?, which focused on them learning the places in town. And I added in world countries because some of them, when you go in places, you needed to know that vocabulary. So I kind of tied that in right there. I looked at ¿A dónde vas?, ¿Con quién vas?, ¿Cómo vas?, focusing on lugares, and I brought back in those world countries, as well as I tied in modes of transportation and travel. In the final aspect, I looked at ¿Dónde está?, places in town, specialty stores, and countries and prepositional phrases. All of this was a part of that unit. These were the things that students were expected to be familiar with as they went through the 4 weeks in the program. Then the post-test and the post-survey, and then we had open discussion. All right, the data analysis of the research question. Thank you very much. Quick question. Raise your hand if you feel as though the students didn't benefit from the research. You feel as though, based on the lit review, how do you feel? Like, what are your thoughts on the impact of increased vocabulary? Do you think increasing student vocabulary would be beneficial as educators or would not? It's beneficial. So the more words you know, the better you're able to understand, right? Okay. And what about the student's perspective? Sorry? Can't hear you. Good. It is important. You want them to be interested, excited about learning. Like I mentioned before at the beginning, they had no interest. They were not interested. But at the end, as you'll see, there were some changes. Next slide. So my mixed methods methodology focused on the qualitative and quantitative research. And then I used descriptive statistics to get my analysis of the pre and post test. And then I used a post survey using a Likert scale from Chacón's research of 2018. So my findings and discussion for research question 1 and 2 took me into some key terms that I just want to elucidate for the persons in the room and online. So the descriptive statistics looked at organizing raw data into clear and understandable form. So it looked at our mean, median, mode, and the standard deviation. Mean meaning the average, median meaning the middle value, mode meaning the most frequent number that was discovered in the scoring, and the standard deviation which measured the amount of variation of the values close to the mean. So my first research question, I used a pair t-test giving me a p-value of 0.049, which indicated a significant difference between the pre and the post test vocabulary scores. So as you can see in the pre-test, the students' mean was 48.56, their median was 51, and their mode was 57. This increased significantly to the post test, which gave me a mean of 73.6, a median of 77, and a mode of 80. Now, mind you, I may not have gotten any A's, but trust me, this. You're like, I felt so good. And so those were the scores for the pre and post test. And on a table, because you have the persons that got to see the visual. I got to give you all everything. So this is it, the same information on the table. So for my research question 2, what is the student's perspective using sentence frames for presentational writing? As I mentioned, I use a Likert scale. I use part 1. And it basically asks the students, what can you do? And so 53% of them said, I can understand the instructions on a given topic. 44% answered questions 2 and 3 saying they can create a list of items and write on their own based on a familiar topic. 53% of them answered or responded to questions 4 and 5 saying that they could respond with one word or phrases. Here is where those lexical chunks came in. And independently create sentences in Spanish on a familiar topic, where 50% of them sometimes said that they can sometimes write on their own on a familiar topic. So all in all, the results were very favorable in this regard. And here's your table. Okay, so those were the 6 points we just talked about. Also for question 2, we got a mean score where the students had to agree or disagree or, feel the middle way. 4 agreed that the mean score was 4 that agreed that the use of sentence frames was helpful. 2 disagreed that the sentence frames created more engaging writing content in Spanish, and they were never able to produce on their own vocabulary or use sentence frames effectively without notes or independently create paragraphs. This 4 agreed that the use of sentence frame made them more able to create paragraphs in Spanish, and the last one agreed the average number of students wanted to continue using sentence frames for writing activities in class. And this is a big deal that out of 5 on the Likert scale, sorry, 5 being the highest, I should have said that, that the majority of them were interested in continuing using sentence frames. Here's your table.
Graph.
I mean, graph. I thank you for that. The student's perspective. The third part of the survey gave students an opportunity to actually write their research, and that's what I have here. So the first question asked, did you find sentence frames helpful? And the students responded, sentence frames help me to remember the vocabulary needed to respond to each question properly. Sentence frames helps me a lot so I can know what I am writing and understand more. And listen, I wrote exactly what they put on the paper. The third student said, or a few of them basically said, I'm not very good at Spanish, but sentence frames help me to remember what to put in the spaces because I don't know Spanish good. Next slide. For question 2, were you able to write better using sentence frames? I forget half the words in Spanish, but the clues is bring back some memories from the lesson so I can respond. Question 3, were you able to respond on your own without using sentence frames? This student here was an outlier, meaning they were exceptionally bright from start to finish. And that could be as a result of, being in the wrong set or grouping. However, they said that my Spanish vocabulary is well enough to form some sentences and create paragraphs. However, 12 students out of the 34 stated that they needed sentence frames to help them remember. I also want to mention that for this part of the survey, if you notice, I only put maybe 1 or 2 or 3 comments that the students gave. It's because a lot of them did not respond to the written part. And so I had to dig at the writing aspect right there. But see, that's English. I can't help you with the English part. But the Spanish, I did help them a little bit with that. For question 4, were you able to effectively use sentence frames without notes? When I got to understand the sentence frames better, I was able to remember the vocabulary to respond on my own and didn't need the notes. That's progress. You want me failing? I'm not good with words in Spanish, so it's hard for me to make up my own stuff. Whew. You gotta help. I mean, hopefully you have too many of them, but you got some. Were you able to create your own paragraphs without using sentence frames? I can make some sentences, but my spelling ain't too good. I love an honest child. Were you able to create your own paragraphs without using sentence frames? I can make some sentences, my spelling ain't too good. 6, Would more lessons using sentence frames help with writing Spanish? They are helpful and make me better at Spanish. They make writing easier. These were the students' perspectives. Here are some of my observations. In my teacher field journal, and let me tell you, this year, them boys that I had, they ate down in my class. They had those girls on the fence. They were on top of things. This particular year of 2022, my boys were the star students in my class. And I mean the healthy competition they gave. If I asked a question, the boys had the answers. The girls struggled a lot, this particular group, but the boys, clock it. And so that was one of the major things, that the boys were more actively engaged, but all students did have engagement, but the boys really took center stage that particular year. Students gravitated to specific vocabulary on certain terms. As you remember, we went through several lessons in the content. So it was certain words in each topic that they focused on or gravitated to. In transportation, it were like avión, coche, tren, a pie, places in town, cine, museo, parque y la playa. And for world countries, España, Francia, Inglaterra, y los Estados Unidos. Those were the most common ones that the students used in the research. So, boy, how you do this? Did it help? Yes, it increased student vocabulary. It increased student efficacy and interest. It also increased student engagement, and it assisted with increasing student writing performance. Boy, I did that. With the turn now, with the turn. So it's time for your mini lesson. Bienvenidos a la clase de español. Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Muy bien. Y vamos a hablar un poquito sobre el tema ¿a dónde vas? Repitan después de mí, ¿a dónde vas? Muy bien. And so para la clase de español, vamos a repasar algunos temas. We're going to review a few themes. Now, because there are a lot of persons in here that are Spanish and, English and not Spanish, I'm going to keep it really, los dos. And so at the end of the lesson, you'll be able to say that I can recall vocabulary. And I want to make it clear that this lesson is based, it's like a final lesson based on all of what was included in the unit. So the students are already exposed to this vocabulary. So this is us recalling that content and using the sentence frames that the students were already familiar with. My online family. Please, you can go to the Microsoft Forms in the chat, and hopefully that will assist you in guiding you through the presentation. However, everything on screen, you are welcome to view as well. But my people in the room, it's time to work. Hey. Hola. All right, so we're going to look at objective 1, which is to recall the vocabulary. At the beginning of the unit, it was important to build the students' vocabulary, and this is how we're going to do it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you guys should have gotten a worksheet. Oh, I think the back table didn't get the worksheet because remember we had taken the stuff off. It's my hope that you learning educators brought a pen to the session. Ooh. Normally we I can help you out only because I work with you. Yes. All right, it says place the terms in the correct category. On the worksheet that you see in front of you, you're going to, they didn't even give me a worksheet, but on the worksheet you're going to see in front of you, you're going to see 3 boxes. What you're going to do with those boxes is you're going to put the number in the box. Now remember, the class that I used for my research was not a top stream group. They were not the high flyers that we label them as. These group was an average low, predominantly average low, according to ACFL standards. That's where their level was. So we limited the writing until they had to actually write, which gave them an opportunity to do more in the class. So if you look at the words on the screen to the bottom, you're going to place them in the groups. Number one, lugar y país. Is it a lugar? Is it un país? Now, only for the persons that have no, I thought I was going to sit next to someone Spanish. I'm sorry. All right. So please feel free to copy off the person next to you. So lugar y país, pasatiempos, and transporte. Let's figure out the ones that you do know first. Oh, sorry. Let me help you all out. Transporte. Let's see if you can figure that one out. Muy bien. Pasatiempos sounds exactly like what you think it is. Pastimes or hobbies. Good. And then lugar y país. Country and place. Good. So we have place and country, those two go in the same box. Hobbies and transportation. So if you feel as though, and this is me talking to the students now because you have now become my class. If you feel as though number one is lugar y país, put number one in the box under lugar y país. So you're only putting the numbers in the spaces, not the words. That's your paper. Write on your paper. Yes, they are your papers. If you want to work as a group, feel free to do so. If you want to submit one paper per group. Oh, there was a delay. Okay. Okay. It's okay. You're good. You're good. You're good. I'm good. And this is me monitoring.
You doing excellent on time.
Okay, good, because I was wondering. People in you can turn my mic back on. People in the chat are cheating and putting the answers in the chat. So if you are online, check the chat for the answers. All right. So basically, this is what I would have given the students. These students would have already been exposed to this vocabulary. Now, I wish I had a little bit more control of my. All right. So at this point, one of the things that I would have done was say, switch your papers. Let's check your answers. But raise your hand if you need 5 more minutes. Raise your hand if you need 2 more minutes. Okay, 2 more minutes can be granted for this activity. Online, are you guys alive in there? I wish you guys were here. Family Island people, thanks for tuning in. Nassau family who couldn't make it, thank you for still logging on. Yeah. I got you. I'm glad when I see you coming here.
That's right.
Okay. You learning any Spanish? All right, it's time to check your answers. So remember, we are in class. So when I point to you, since I don't know everyone's name, I'm just going to point to everyone in the room so that no one feels as though they're more special than others because I know their name. I can just say, okay. So, número uno. Which section did you put it? Okay, we can go with the colors. Okay, pasatiempos. Muy bien. So we go with the colors. What is red in Spanish? What is blue? And what is green? Muy bien. So when you have your answer, give me the color, okay? All right. So número uno was azul, pasatiempo. Muy bien. Click. Número dos. Verde, el transporte. Muy bien. If you know it, then you could say it. But if you're not familiar with the Spanish words, you could switch to the colors. That's fine. Just want to be fair to everyone in the room. Número tres, escuela. Rojo. Lugar y país. Muy bien. Cuatro, nadar. Azul. Alemania. Rojo. Muy bien. Bailar y cantar. Azul, pasatiempos. España. Rojo. Leer. Azul. Centro comercial. En tren. En coche. Jugar deporte. Parque. En crucero. Estudiar. Oh. There. This is what the jury needs to be doing. All right. So a few things about this slide I want to point out. One, visually, I use colors to assist students with the visual aspect, as well as I use it to emphasize certain things. In addition to that, for the lobastical, remember we're talking lobastical bit now. And so I also, if you notice, I did use the lexical trunk with the transporte, but I didn't use it, which I should have, with La Escuela, Centro Comercial, and Parque, but I should have used it there for this activity. Next slide. Here's your next activity. I'm going to show you a few photos now, and I'd like for you to give me the Spanish if you know it. Like I said, this is the children in the class. Now, these are words that they are or should have been familiar with. First picture. Parque. Muy bien. Click. Al parque. The lexical chunk is now here. Ajá. A la playa. Muy bien. Nadar. Muy bien. En tren. It is a país, but what país is it? España, muy bien. A pie, muy bien. You can say caminar, an andar, or andar. I got y'all, Frenchies. Francia, muy bien. Escuchar música, what else could this be? Cantar, muy bien. I mean, and even some students might have even thought bailar, because her hair look a little wavy there. Okay. Escuela. Estudiar or leer y estudiar. Muy bien. And I think there's, okay. En avión, muy bien. So once again, the students are already exposed to this vocabulary. But one of the major facets of this research was to be able to pull that vocabulary out of them by giving them multiple practice activities with the vocabulary. This is two of the ones that were used in this research. What you're going to do now for me on the worksheet that you have in front of you is you are going to choose two of the items off this slide and fill in those spaces. So now I have the students doing a little bit of writing. Yuchi, you done finished? Yeah. Oh, go back. So now, as you can see, we're tying in the aspects of the research. Students are now writing things down. You can choose any two for each section. Sí, no hay problema. Well, how you got my EO helping you with all answers? You know somebody is.
Yes.
Oh.
I think we got Spain, you remember Peru?
You better let that run that back. It's time to run it back. You're doing great. You're doing great. Cakewalk for you. Lord, I feel like I'm getting graded in this corner. Raise your hand if you need another minute. Muy bien, esperamos. Yes. All right, for the online personnel, the worksheet that they have in the room, it has a table based on the photos that you see in the front of them. In this table, they're putting in 2 words for each section. If the word is from the vocabulary on place and town, country, hobbies, or modes of transportation, they are now filling in that table using any 2 of the vocabulary words from the slide. Stop cheating. All right, online personnel, it is my hope, I'm checking our modern languages chat. It is my hope that you are sharing the link with the persons that have not joined us as yet. Please continue to share, and share alike. Raise your hand if you are completed. Muy bien. All right, let's move to the next slide. The next slide takes us into the second objective of today's session or today's class. All right, so now we're going to manipulate the pronouns and forms of the verb ir to talk about going in Spanish. Please be reminded that the students are or have already been exposed to this vocabulary. You're going to start off by taking the small package in front of you, and each person at your table is to take 3 cards out. Rojo, let me see what colors I gave you. Rojo, amarillo, y verde. This activity is going to be considered or called the stoplight activity. Each person should take 3 cards out of the pack. 3 cards. You should have 1 red, 1 blue, 1 yellow. Each person. Now remember, they told me 1 million people was already going to be in the room, so I prepared for 50 people. So you only need to take 1 out. Rojo, azul, y verde. Rojo, amarillo, y verde. Gracias. Look, y'all paying attention. I love that for me. Okay. Now you're going to hold your cards in your hand because you're going to need them for this activity. Are we ready? No? You just need 1 red now. There you go. There you go. Good to go. So best practices, these are some of them that I use. Jokole. Oh, okay. I guess because I move it. All right. Tech. All right, it says choose the correct form of the verb ir to suit the given subject. The subjects will be in black, whereas your options to match the verb ir will be in rojo, amarillo, o verde. And so, if you think the answer for yo is rojo, raise the rojo. If you think the answer is amarillo, raise the amarillo. If you think the answer is verde, raise the amarillo. I mean the verde. Don't look around the room. Don't look for the Spanish people. If you think the answer is that, choose the answer. All right, click for me, please. Okay, let's go. Could you click? Did you get the answer correctly? Next slide. Oh, online people, I can't. Okay, thank you, online people. Y'all are on it. I hope you're putting little hearts and the colors for me. They're putting the letter A. All right, here's your next option, El Chico. Is it El Chico A, B, or C? All right, show them the answer. I love it. Next slide. Your new subject would be Mis Padres. Oh, sorry, waiting for online. Eh? There you go. Okay, so this is a prime example that happened with the students. Some of them second guess themselves. All right. And with this activity, this is retroalimentación. You get immediate feedback from the students. Hi. Look how she guió la one. Ana y yo. And here we have the discussion on this. This is exactly what would happen in the class. The discussion would be with mis padres, who is our subject in English? They. And because it's they, we would use the van. However, with Ana y yo, we're talking about Ana and I, which gives us the pronoun we, and so therefore we use vamos. Muy bien. Yeah, girl, you got tink, 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 tink. All right, the next slide. La niña. Why are you hiding? She's holding her answer in front of her like it's a secret. All right, show them the answer. Okay. All right. Oh, okay, thank you, chat. All right. The next activity, thank you so much. You can put those cards away. But that is one of the best practices that I use in my classroom. Sometimes I use different colors. I think this is actually the first time I even had red, yellow, and green. I think I've used orange, purple, pink. I think I've used pretty much almost every color, but this is the first time I've ever actually gotten to use the red, yellow, and green like a real stoplight. For the screen activity, you're going to see the infinitives. We're going to be matching the infinitives now to their English meanings. And this is very important because we need the students to be able to create sentences. So far, we've reviewed members of the family. We've reviewed the forms of the verb ir. We have reviewed places in town, world countries, modes of transportation, as well as, there's one more thing I think we reviewed, hobbies. So all of this vocabulary was reviewed in the few activities that you've just done. Now we're working more with the hobbies because the hobbies are our verbs. Verbs are our actions. You need an action for every sentence that you create. Take a few minutes and match the vocabulary to the left, which are the Spanish infinitives, to their English meanings to the right. Now, in a traditional Spanish classroom, I would not leave anyone behind. Even if I know you were having some challenges, I would help you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I would not leave you behind. But remember, you all done had this class. Now we're reviewing these to move on. Okay. Yeah, you can copy off her today. Today I give you a blind. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes. This whole row right here, they've been cheating all day. Raise your hand if you need another minute. Awesome. Thank you so much for your assistance, chat. Thanks for keeping it hybrid. This really was my research in action. Someone share all the answers. Eh?
Delete. I can't delete it. Oh.
All right, please raise your hand if you need another minute. All right, so let's check your answers. Número uno, estudiar. To study, muy bien, click. Número dos, ir a. To go to, muy bien. Número tres, escuchar música. To listen to music, muy bien. Número cuatro, visitar a. To visit. To visit, muy bien. Número cinco, jugar. Gee, oh yeah, you would use that with a sport for sure. Número seis, viajar en. To travel to, muy bien. Cantar. Leer. To read, nadar. To swim, bailar. To dance. Once again, all of this is vocabulary practice, vocabulary building to get our students to have the base for the sentence frames that they're going to create. Next slide. All right, then we review the sentence formation. It is important that you know, click for me, please, click once. When you create a sentence in Spanish, you're going to need your subject. Your subject in Spanish represents the noun or the pronoun. It is who you are talking about. Your sentences, and even though I know you mature and you all already know Spanish, people that tell me you don't really need the subject, for this level, they need a subject. So I always stress that you need your subject first, and then you need your verb. Click for me, please. And finally, you need your form of verb ir plus a, click, and then you need the rest of the sentence. So when we teach the structure, click, when you teach the structure, you need your subject, form of the verb ir, a, and the rest of the sentence. In this example, our rest of the sentence will be an activity and a day of the week if you have a day of the week that you know you want to tie it in, because we're making strong sentences. So I'm going to dance on Monday. At this point, I would ask the students, how would you say this in Spanish? What would you need to write first? And going back to my best practices, look at the colors. Trying to assist the students by focusing on specific colors for a specific thing, okay? And so I am going to dance on Monday. Anybody want to try this one? Yo. Okay, I heard some good words there. Can somebody help out? Your boy, hi. Yo, she said yo, boy. Bailar el lunes, muy bien. And so here we put it together. I could have, but the slide, you know, it kind of limited me. I would have had to make it smaller. I could have made this 2 but I decided to keep it as one for the session today. Now, if I know y'all bright and shiny, so I left it as 2 for y'all, okay? Next slide. Yes, sorry, go back.
In that case, do they go back? Do it orally all the time, or do they have the cards?
So we do the examples together orally, and then I give them some to do on their own. So I always teach it first, and then I give them the practice. But remember, we've already done these lessons. Okay, so I always teach it first. We do some examples, and then I give them some to do on their own. Next one. So once again, you need your subject. You can just click, 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 click. For this example, we're using ear, country, and transportation. Okay? Click. The boy is going to Germany. Oh. I sorry, y'all. Yeah. I think the slide 89. There you go. So I was tired. I'm sorry, y'all. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay. The boy is going to Germany. I done give y'all land both days. Okay. So y'all got a freebie off me. Anybody want to try this one? Anybody want to try this one? I changed today. It may be a little bit different for the online persons because I did with fresh eyes when I wasn't tired midnight one night. I went over and I had another look at the 100 slides because I eat, drink, and slept this presentation for y'all for the past few days. Okay, so we have El Chico, va a Alemania en bote. En avión. Muy bien, profesora. All right. Miss Manrique present, y'all. Yes. Uh-huh.
Is it here or where?
Here.
That's the question.
What? I confused.
Repeat that. Here, the process.
No, but you said, is it here or there?
Yes. Is it here or there? So just go back
Is-
and you explain the point that you were making because she may have lost something in translation.
Which point I was making? Okay, so for these sentences, we're looking at how to create the sentences in Spanish. So we need our subject, our form of the verb ir, we need a, and then we need ir in its infinitive form, country, and transportation. In this particular sentence, the person is saying, I'm going to go to Germany, and how they're going to get there with the mode of transportation that they will use. She can PM me, but I'm not really fully understanding the question that she asked, and I do apologize for that. Just need a little bit more clarity to give her a better answer. Next slide. The final example, just click for me, please. Click, click, click. Give them the focus. You're going to need, okay, stop. Okay, so the girl and I are going to go to the movies on foot. Okay? La chica y yo vamos al cine a pie. O vamos a ir al cine a pie. Vamos a ir al cine a pie. Sí, vamos a ir al cine a pie. Miss Guerrero would kill me if I didn't teach y'all that right. I worked for her for many years, and trust me, she'll make sure your Spanish is. Let's go next slide. All right, and so on the worksheet, you would see these three. Like I said, we always teach it first, then I give you a few to do on your own. Now, your worksheet might have something different because, like I said, I sent the worksheets from Monday, and then I made a few changes. So we can look at the board. I want to go through these really quickly, and I give the students different ways to practice the vocabulary. So for number one, we can just use the one on screen. I have van a visitar ellos el museo. How would we write this correctly in español? Ellos van a visitar el museo. Muy bien, click. Good. Número dos, viajar a Cuba va a en avión mi madre. Good. Mi madre va a viajar a Cuba en avión. Good. En coche nosotros ir a, sorry, no, en coche nosotros a ir al parque vamos. Nosotros vamos a ir al parque en coche. Muy bien. And so, another tool, giving them, the students, all of the parts that they needed and seeing if they understand that they need the subject first, then the verb, then a, and then the rest of the sentence, whatever the rest of the sentence it would be. Actividad en grupo. In front of you, persons in the room, I do apologize, online personnel, but this is where that man is go through screaming, you should be here. I'm at LRS. Where are you? This is that moment. You've made it. All right. So in front of you, you have received the following items. You have received a chart paper. You have received some sentence frames, which would be in this package, what I entitled Going Places. You will receive a marker, which is black, and you receive some glue, which my former teaching practice student, Adonia, left in my school, and I say, you know what? She need these for us. So we're going to use these today. So look in your packages, take the items out for me, please. And go to the next slide for me. Hola, Andros, my people, I coming to y'all in the fall. For vacation now, for vacation. Eleuthera massive. ¡Ay, mi familia en los Estados Unidos! ¡Hola, hola, hola! Grand Bahama, listen. I love it there. Exuma, y'all, it's my people. My roots deep down in Exuma, y'all. All right, so in front of you, you're going to see the sentence frames. Next slide for me, please. We're going to be using the sentence frames as a guide to complete this activity. It says complete the sentence frames with the missing word or words, then match the sentence frames to their English meanings. Paste them on the chart in your groups. You're not matching to the English meanings because I intentionally left the English meanings on the slide. Well, not the meanings, but definitely your guide to your sentence frames. Click again for me. So the materials you have are the chart paper, the glue, the markers, and the sentence frames. And so if you look on your sentence frames, it says, and this comes from like a BJC writing type question. Where are you going and who will go with you? When you will go there, how you will get there, someplace you will visit while there, and what you will do at that place. What you're going to do is, using your chart paper and your sentence frames, you're going to arrange your paragraph using the cards to respond to these prompts. So you're using the sentence frames to form your sentences in response to the prompts. Good first sentence. Awesome. Ah, yeah.
Mi madre. Okay.
It could be mi madre, but you have another family, set of family. Now, I've given you more words than you need. You will not use every word. I also gave you guys varying colors so you don't look over at the other person's table and cheat.
Oh, okay.
It's looking good, sis. It's looking good.
So you're continuing here.
But you can help them. There you go. Way to go. And you were right. You were picking up the right card.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We didn't glue it yet because.
I mean, you do not have to glue it because I could use these again. You know, teacher need a thing. If you have not glued it, you do not have to glue it. It's quite all right. Okay, I should have given you, because this line too big, I should have given you para comprar regalos. And then you could have made your, oh, for those of you who need more space, I gave you 2 extra cards and a marker if you wanted to add words and terms. So if you want to add con, or any additional vocab, you have 2 extra. Love it. Yes, each group has extras. And you can add, so you could use. They used all and they added 1. Okay, let's see what you wrote. Yo voy a Alemania con mi familia el fin de semana en coche. Nosotros vamos al parque para jugar al fútbol. You can say, what would you add to include these? So you need, what do you need? You need E and you need con. So write E and con. E. So E, bailar would go there.
Then con.
Then you can have con.
Another one?
Yeah, so we could.
Okay. Con.
Okay. So the activity focused on the kids being able to respond to these prompts by creating the sentences like a jigsaw puzzle or a fill in the blank type activity. And then if they realize, hey, we didn't use all, what do we need to finish? See? And these were the sentence frames. So you've just done a sentence frame activity. Take it away. So this group is done. This group is done. Okay. Nosotros vamos a Grecia con mis abuelos. Yo voy el viernes. Yo voy en tren. Okay. So this would go here. Nosotros visitamos. It wouldn't be the you just need la playa. Para nadar. Or you can put para leer. Para leer. Oh, you could tear it if you need to.
Okay, put layers again.
To read. But you need something else. You still got.
Oh, so we have to use this one.
You don't. You don't have to.
Okay.
Because you could have put con mi padre. You could put con mi padre. So you could make this one con. So here you go. Con mi padre. All right. And those are your sentence frames. Y'all did great. All right, my last group, let's have a look.
What you'll do at the place. So what are you gonna do at the park?
So you didn't want school no more. That's fine. Put that away. We ain't going to school. That's fine.
We leave mommy home.
8. So para leer,
Go to the park too. Yeah, we go to read.
okay. But you need to give me one more verb. So if you don't use estudiar, then give me another verb.
Okay. So what else? Okay, go to
So
park.
this would be para leer y
Can we do escuchar?
yes, you can absolutely do that.
And I can put the 2 on 1, right?
Yes, ma'am. Listen to me. You are an impressive group of avid learners. I feel so good to watch you all today. We've been going places. So I want to read out loud for the persons in the group. Don't move your sentence frames. I'm going to take a picture of them and put them directly into the modern languages chat for the person. Okay, but we have group number 1. I'll start on, so they're still working. I'll start on this side. Group number 1 has, would one of you like to read or?
Yo voy a Alemania con mi familia el fin de semana en coche. Nosotros vamos al parque para jugar al fútbol y bailar con mi tía.
Muy bien, I read it from the mic, okay? Yo voy a Alemania con mi familia el fin de semana en coche. Nosotros vamos al parque para jugar al fútbol y bailar con mi tía. Muy bien. My next group has. I will. I mean, I know. All right, my next group. Sorry, I'm just trying to take the photos. Feel free to flip them at your leisure. Casi. My next group has yo voy a Francia con mi tío en avión el miércoles. Nosotros vamos al centro comercial para comprar regalos. Mis padres van a escuchar música. Muy bien. My third group, because I only have 4 awesome groups in the room.
I'm online.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was. Oh my God. I didn't realize it was so loud. I do apologize. My third group has. Nosotros vamos a Grecia con mis abuelos. Yo voy el viernes. Yo voy en tren. Nosotros visitamos la playa para leer y nadar con mi padre. My group, she left?
No, she didn't take it.
Oh, okay. So this group did have 3, but one had a very important call too. My final group, still here, doing things.
No, I was just trying to get it.
You could have tear it.
Oh, okay.
Piece of paper, save the trees, but my goodness, I mean. All right, there we go. My final group here had 2 persons working diligently.
1. She made.
Oh no, okay. Okay, so we have 1 person working diligently and the other REO was monitoring. So they have yo voy a España con mis hermanos. Nosotros vamos el sábado en metro. Vamos al parque para leer y escuchar música. Muy bien a todos. You did great. And my online massive. We have, oh yeah, I can see the name up top. Yo voy a Exuma con mi amiga Sofía de Abaco. Get them. Vamos a Exuma el verano que viene. Vamos en avión. Vamos en el avión. Vamos a visitar la playa cuando estamos en Exuma. Vamos a nadar a la playa. Muy bien. The last one I got was Yo voy a Atlanta con mi amiga JD de Luchaman, y'all. Vamos a Atlanta durante la Navidad. Vamos en el avión. Vamos a visitar un centro comercial. Vamos a ir de compras. Muy bien. So I got some more from online, I believe, but these are the two that I received immediately. Thank you so much, everyone that participated. That gave me 6 groups, y'all. Next slide. We almost done. Casi. So after the students did this practice activity in groups, I gave them an individual activity because it's important for me not just to know what you can do with others, but also what you can do with or by yourself. And that took us to our third objective, which the persons in front of you go. The persons in front of you would have had the sentence frames. And 2 are on this page because, go to the next slide, put in. And this is what I would give my students as an exit ticket. The students would have to be able to complete this in order to leave the class. So basically, this would be their written assignment and it would be worth 10 points. They would have to, as you can see outlined, be able to say, I am going, and I gave them 2 spaces for that. So 1 for the subject, 1 for the verb. Then they had to give me a country, any country, with a family member, a day of the week, a mode of transportation, another family member, or it could have been the same one. I just wanted to make sure that they knew the vocabulary. And then they had to give me a place. And I didn't put country because I really wanted a place in town for this one, tying back in the vocabulary, and 2 hobbies, and it would have been worth 10 marks. All right. And that is what they would have done for their exit ticket. And that's how I would have gotten the grade for this assignment. Next slide for me, please. Conclusions and recommendations. Yes, you are still in the presentation. I'm sorry it's so long, but guess what? We was having a great time. Next slide. All right. So one of the things that I came up with at the end were 3 questions for my personal reflection. Was this study enough to improve student performance in their national examinations? This took me from 2021 when, click for me, please. 2021, when I started to do the master's program. Like I said, I embarked on it in 2020. So the next national exam for that particular year would have been 2021. Click again for me, please. Click. I thought I had it set to come for all of them. So this takes us over a period of 5 years with the national exams 2021 to 2025. And so at first I was a little ashamed to share these results with you guys. But guess what? It got better. Click for me, please. In 2025, sorry, it started off with the 30%. This is where our students began with the cohort, then it moved to 61. See how big that jump was? This was after Boya used to this. All right, then 2023, we had some little challenges. 2024, we started to go back up. But this year, y'all, we improved greatly. All right, and so these stats were obtained from my principal. She keeps awesome records at LW Young. Shout out to the Golden Eagles. All right, she keeps excellent records, and I wanted to track the national exam progress for LW Young for Spanish specifically, because that is what I teach. Duh. All right, next slide. And so those were the stats for us. By the way, we have an awesome team at LW Young. We just have Mr. Luima joining us this year. But before Mr. Luima joined us for French, we had Madame Pratt, who has some of the most outstanding BJC passes in the country over a consecutive period of years. We have also Ms. Parker and Ms. Shackleton, veteran educators from Peru and Costa Rica, and I am proud to be a member of that team. This year I got HOD. All right, so the next step was to move students from relying on sentence frames to independently producing written content in Spanish. One of the things that I did, because this is a work in progress, was I partnered with some teachers from Queens College, and we held a session, a BJC preparation session, and I'm continuing my work with them this year as we work on improving students as they prepare for, or working with students as they prepare for the national exams. So stay tuned for that session coming up in short order. The final thing, click. Click. How can I move my students to Bay Hayes do that? To Bay I did that is exactly what I did today. Share. One of the things that we can all benefit from is sharing, especially in education. Some of the best practices that I use in my classroom that I shared with you today, it is my hope that you take them back as education officers. You can take them back and share them with the persons in your discipline. As educators, you can take them back and use them within your classes. I've given you, I think, maybe 4 or 5 best practices today in this one session. And it is my hope that you too take your students from boy, how you do this to boy, I did that. Click. So in conclusion, my name is Miss J, and I'm a bilingual educator at LW Young. I have a master's degree in Spanish teaching. I am a senior teacher with the Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training. I am the author of the Lobastico series by Ebony Bahamas, the first of its kind Spanish text, workbook, and digital resource series in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And today I was your September educator in residence here at the Learning Resource Center section. Thank you so much for having me. I think that's the end. I believe I can sit now. Thank you so much.
Okay, so, try to leave 5 minutes.
Okay. 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No.
You
Okay.
want to stay at 9? So great. Do we have any questions for our educator residents today?
No, y'all. I don't know if to feel some type of way because y'all don't have no questions or feel as though
No,
the presentation was
listen,
good
it
enough
was so
to answer all y'all questions before we got. Oh, I love that for me.
It was very thorough. One question here.
Yes, ma'am.
Just say
Dr. Charmaine Miller, and it's been a pleasure being in this session. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Dr. Miller.
Yes, and it was good to see the parallel between what you're doing and what we do in the English language.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
but my question is, I think I know the answer to this, especially coming to the end, but I want to ask it and anyhow. What do you think it is about your strategy or approach that appeals so well to the boys in particular? And I think I know, I mean, I know, but I would like for you to express it because I think a lot of times we miss out on how to motivate students. And the same thing applies, I see, in writing in English, you know, that autonomy, the mastery and the purpose kind of thing that we miss out on. But I want you to tell us what you think was the element that just drew those boys in particular to the strategy and they love what you do.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Miller, for your question. One of the things that I feel as though really benefited the boys, especially, was the fact that I didn't only give them textbook assignments. I gave them activities. I got them engaged. I used many different ways to get them to do things. So stoplight activity with the cards, they were able, if they didn't know how to say the words, they could raise the card up and still get the answer. The activity in front of you using the sentence frames, they could move them around and you should hear them. No, wait, not that one. This one, wait. And so motivating the kids by giving them, like we talked about earlier, things that they are interested in doing. Nobody wants to sit down and be talked to for hours. I feel as though if I had stood here with the text and I had spoken to you, you ought to leave long time, you ought to take all them food off the back of them table and you ought to peel out. But I feel as though, like I said, just getting them involved by doing different things. If we teach the way that we were taught, we rob our children of tomorrow. However the quote go, we can't do that. And that was one of the reasons or the impetus behind me starting the master's program, because I was unhappy with what I was doing previously. And I thought, hey, it was time to level up. And so I hope that answers your question. Yes, ma'am. Madam EO? Yes,
So they don't have.
right. And that's another thing. In my classroom, it's very colorful. It's very colorful. I try to use a lot of color for different things because my learning style is visual, spatial, and kinesthetic. So I want you to do things. I want you to see things, and I want you to participate. I only have 4 rules. Come to class on time, bring your materials, do my work, and participate. They're my 4 rules.
Okay. A question on that.
So this one is from Sophia Wims. She
Hey.
contributes.
Hey, girl.
It's a teacher's personality also. She knows her craft. She brings the energy, and they have bodily kinesthetic activities. Regine Stubbs says TPR activities are definitely key. Maritza Pilaka says very good presentation. Fantástico.
Yes.
Nancy Pilaka says gracias, excelente presentación.
Muy bien.
Ivania Vega Smith says estupendo, muchas gracias por compartir. And JD,
JD, that's my hey,
JD
JD is
says-
a low bicycle teacher, y'all.
she says, make sure I get y'all on if you got junior school or senior together. It'll save time. She put that in Bahamian Creole.
That's my girl. Listen, JD and Eleuthera uses low bicycle. Low bicycle is locked into the low bicycle series by Ebony Bahamas. Eleuthera is
Fantastic.
in there. Thank
Okay.
you again, JD.
And I taken over Katie's job for just 2 seconds. It says the lesson was very didactic. Gracias, Ebony. Congratulations on your new appointment as HOD. Very engaging and informative. Data is key. Muchas felicidades. Muy bien trabajo. And felicidades, Elfin. And with that, that's the last from the chat. We want to say thank you so much to everybody in the chat.
Thank
In
you
the
so
room,
much,
y'all,
everyone.
reach out to the chat. Tell the chat they did a great job at participating.
Yes, thank you so much.
I've been writing away with questions. Got them answered, but one question that I had, the sentence frames, you said it's not the same as the closed passages and it's not filling the gaps. So how is it different? Because I'm thinking about the way I learned Spanish, and it's similar, but yet
It's similar,
Mhm.
but it's still different. For example, with the sentence frames, the students is especially in your group, notice that I gave you some blank ones. What did you do with the blank ones? You created your own endings to the sentences. You produced or you chose your own vocabulary. Whereas with the closed passage, I believe they ask you for a specific set of vocabulary and terms. And so that was the difference between the sentence frames and the closed passage.
So what do you think accounts for the difference now? How we were learning it then compared, because my problem with learning it then and how I think I was told by a Spanish professor
Oh,
that
Lord.
I think in English and then try to translate to Spanish. So I'm thinking that it's probably different because if you're learning the vocabulary, you're going to think Spanish first.
You should think that's one of the things you're supposed to think in the language, which, especially if you're exposed to so much English all the time and not exposed to as much Spanish, you're always going to try and, hey, how do I say it? Like, I notice in English, how do I say it in Spanish? But it's like when you write your sentences, I am going to the movies with my family member. When you write your sentence, you write it exactly like that. However, you have to remember that you have to form that ir a in your sentence. You have to remember the structures as well. When you write your sentences, it's important for you to remember the placement. For example, if you were to describe something in Spanish, you wouldn't say yellow chair. You would say chair yellow when you write it. And so therefore, certain concepts are applicable to the English. You write it exactly how you see it. Whereas others, you have to pay attention to those nuances in the language that require you to make that transition and think in the actual Spanish, especially when describing and for different topics.
So this method is better for us to think Spanish first.
It helps.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think our time.
Yes. You have another comment? Okay.
Her
Thank-
comment was, it's time to go.
Thank you so very much.
If you
I-
can, please, you could just put everything back in the pockets for me. Y'all can see these things. These, yes, you are welcome to keep these. I mean, not my pockets though.
Thank you so very much, those of you who are
Gonna
viewing
tell it.
online. You can feel happy, all of these wonderful goodies that Ms. J brought for us back in their packages.
Thank you so much. That's just extra. Two and three. Excuse me. They're 40. They're 40 each.
About series that she's written and developed.
I want a real hug.
Be available.
I want a real hug. I want a table between us.
And the request even after this finish, we're just going to now just thank Ms. Johnson. Thank you so very much for sharing your study with us. Thank you so very much for the development.
Thank you so much. You guys made it to the end of what? 97 slides. Thank you.
Thank all of you online. We'd like to thank our faithful 12 apostles who are in here.
Thank you so much.
The slide that you had with the answers for that matching, it's the same PowerPoint you just now.
What's this PowerPoint? Okay, your certificates will be emailed to you. And for those of you who stuck it out with us to the end, give yourself a round of applause. You just got 2 professional development hours certified by the Ministry of Education, technical and vocational training through the Learning Resources section. Thank you so much.